record it. Some people want to be here live, can't because they might go to the career center or something that has a Zoom session the same time as this one. And I knew since this is primarily targeted the C group, the H group, I told, if you want to come, fine. But today's Zoom is mainly for the C group that haven't come yet this week. And I thought it's important I go over what's going on so they know at least one day in advance of their first day back. Also, there might be some people who are absent in the H group on Monday or Tuesday, and I want to go over assignments for that. And like I said, I'm not going to do this very long, probably be about 10, 15 minutes. I just want to touch on some things so you have some idea what's going on. And of course, we're a new semester, a new class, and everyone's trying to figure out how things work and what the expectations are and what they should be doing. Since at least half of the work, give or take, depending on the week, you're going to be doing on your own outside of school. And I want to explain some things so people can have the best experience possible. Today, believe it or not, I'm at home. Wednesdays, we do not have to go into school and teach. I go in sometimes on Wednesdays. Today, I didn't have anything pressing to drive over there, and I have a pretty nice setup here at home for doing this stuff because I'm also into video and audio and all that anyway. So I, invested actually quite a lot of my own money this year buying new stuff. But I enjoy it and I might use it for some other things too. I was thinking about getting into some podcasting and stuff like that, which I may share with you guys. But in the meantime, let's see here. I'm going to bring up a screen from our Google Classroom. And first of all, anything, you guys probably know this already, but anything I put in the stream, make sure you read all of it. The announcements, information, whatever. Make sure you're up on all that. There's important stuff. I'm going to put the links in here each time we have a meeting. So most of the time I use the same room over and over and over again, but in case some weird thing happened, seemed like it happened once last semester. For some weird reason, I had a different address. I don't know if I clicked something different or whatever, but I usually have the same Zoom room and same address. So that's, but I still post it up fresh. But let's go over to classwork. And just to remind you, I'm going to always leave this section up on top. And the main part you may need throughout the semester is here, the Rio contact info. So when you open that up, this is probably the Zoom room I'm normally in, but ignore that because I'll post that in the stream every time we have a Zoom meeting anyway. But up here, this is my Google Voice number. Works just like a normal phone number. It comes to my phone. You can text it. You can call it, but let's be honest, in this day and age, people don't usually answer phone messages. So you're probably better to text it. So that's great. First time you text it, put your name so I know who it is texting me. And that's fine. A lot of students do that when they got questions or keep up on things or whatever. Email is just fine too. And that comes to I usually check it on my phone. I check it around the clock. You never know. I might email you back an answer within minutes at midnight. You never know. So that's my contact info. So you'll always be able to find that up in the top section of the classwork. And then there it is right there. Now, this week here, for those who have not been in person yet, I want to explain what's going on so you have some idea what's going on and what we're doing. I'm going to start with this first here. Because we're a digital video class, it may shock you, but we edit video a lot. Okay. So we're doing our first project. The first project, the primary focus of it is learning iMovie. Okay. We're not going to learn everything in iMovie in the first project, but to get you started, to do one iMovie. I know some students have done before, some have not, but I just kind of put everyone in the same ballpark of, in the same situation of, okay, let's all learn the basics of iMovie. And at the same time, let's start a project and have a little fun with it and try to do a good job. So in class, this is an in-class project in the Mac Lab. When you show up, I'll be sharing with you guys a file of raw footage from homecoming. I was going to do the homecoming from the fall 2020, but I'm having the main computer in the studio re-imaged, a new software put on it, and I won't go into all the detail. I did back up the video I had on there, but I don't have an easy way to get you guys some raw footage from the fall at this time. So I'm just using the raw footage from the year before homecoming. Not a big deal because it's primarily not about the Homecoming is primarily about learning features and how iMovie works, but that'll be okay to share. And if you are not a freshman, then it would have been a Homecoming that you would have probably been involved in when, last year. So we're going to be editing that, learning basics of video editing and talking about video editing and using iMovie. So that's an in-class project. So don't worry about this outside of class. The only thing you might want to do outside of class, because we don't do this in class, I put 2 different iMovie tutorials here. Do you absolutely have to watch them if you're in class? Probably not, because I'm going to go over all this stuff in class as we do our project. But it wouldn't hurt if you had a little free time. There's one that's 23 minutes, gives you a little overview here. And for those that want a more in-depth, or maybe at some point in the future, there's one here. It's over an hour. And as you probably can imagine, if you go on YouTube and do a search for iMovie tutorials, there's all kinds of them out there. Some are general ones trying to show you the big picture. Some are just very specific, trying to show you some tips or tricks or something like that. We're going to be using iMovie a lot. We have it on all the computers. A little later in the semester, we'll use another program called Adobe Premiere Pro. But for starters, iMovie works great. You can do a lot with it. So this here we're doing in class, so really don't have to worry about this outside class unless you feel like watching one or both of those videos. Okay, the second one here, this is just a question. It's a very simple assignment, and I did for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want people, I try out different tools that we have in Google Classroom, and one of them is where I can throw a question out there and just have you answer it, okay? And it's very easy. It's very simple to do. And this year, I want you to start thinking a little bit about cinematography. We're going to be using terms like videography, photography, and cinematography that, in a sense, are all basically about the same. Photography is when you take a photo with a camera. Okay. And when you learn about photography and taking good pictures, there's a lot that goes into that. There's about how to frame your shots and different types of shots and settings on your camera and light and on and on and on. Well, it's very similar on a video camera, except there we usually use the term videography. Okay, there's some differences because you're doing video instead of still, but there's a lot of similarities too, like rule of thirds and things like that we talk about. Then when you take it to like the Hollywood level and you're making a big motion picture, then whatever reason they use the term cinematography, the filming that goes on for like a movie. And whether you're using the term cinematography or videography or photography, there's a lot of similarities between them. And what I wanted you to do is think about movies you've seen that got really good cinematography. Now, unless you're a movie buff, you may not have given this a lot of thought before. And to help yourself out, because you might not really, you may think like, oh, I know what some of my favorite movies are, but I'm not sure if they're the ones that got the best cinematography. So you might want to do is do a little Google searches out there for a list of movies that got really good cinematography, or maybe ones that won awards for it. And then when you look at some of those lists, you might say, okay, I've seen this movie, and I've seen this movie, and I've seen that movie. And it might give you some ideas of that, because I want you to start thinking of things like that. When you watch movies, think about how they filmed them. And there's all kind of tricks out there. And the people who are good at this stuff, it's just amazing what they can do with their cameras and the type of shots that they can get. And if you have a DVD on any movie, I like the ones for the Lord of the Rings where they have documentaries of how they made the movies. And it's really, really interesting to see, how they did the filming and shooting and all that for the movie scenes. And one thing you may not think about a whole lot, I remember one of the scenes from Lord of the Rings, they're filming in some woods, okay? And it was on a sunny day. Now, if you've ever been in the woods on a sunny day, as you're walking, there's parts where the sunlight comes through and it's very bright. And there's parts where the sunlight gets blocked and it's very shadowed. Now, to the human eye, that may not seem like a big deal. Looking at one step, you're almost in sun, and next step, you're almost in shade. But from a camera point of view, dealing with all that sun and shade is really hard for lighting, because the camera wants to do one or the other. Either wants to brighten things for a shady area or lighten things, or you have to come up with manual settings that look good in both. And that's not easy to do. So they talk about challenges like that. Or what if you're filming outside in a certain location over 4 days, Is your lighting going to be the same every single day for 4 days? Probably not. But we want the scenes that you're shooting to look like they all happened at the same time and place. So you have to think about not only how to shoot them well, but how to deal with the lighting over multiple days. And there's a lot of tricks that they do with that. It can be camera settings, it can be software, or whatever else. So I just want you to start thinking about that type of stuff. So that's very easy. And like I said, give it a little thought. Maybe some come to mind right away. You just think are beautifully filmed, and you jump right in there and put in, like, say, 4 of them. And let's just say at least 3. Or if you're not sure, like, what some movies you've seen might be particularly good at this, like I said, do some Google searches and look up movies with good cinematography or ones that won awards or that. Okay, then this last one here is that's our biggest project that we're not doing in class. So that's just a little question that takes you not long at all, a few minutes or something. The other one we're doing mainly in class. By the way, there's one that's the questions due today. So I did that on purpose so that people would get in the habit of reading their Google Classrooms on Monday when the new assignments come out for the week. And if you're not coming to class till Thursday, it doesn't mean, hey, I don't want you sitting around for 3 days doing nothing. I want you to be doing something. So often we'll have an assignment due on Wednesday. Okay, so that means jump in there, read about it, and do that. And then this one here is our intro terms. We don't have a textbook with this class. We don't do a lot of this kind of stuff, but we do got things I want you to learn that's going to be in the form of notes or whatever at various times. And rather than just give you the notes and say, read them or whatever, I want you to do something with them. So at this point, I'm having you make a slideshow, which is not hard. And I have criteria here. If you read my directions, they're all right here. If you scroll down here, this is not only a sample of the slides, but also your terms are on here too. So when you open this here up, you're essentially going to make this. Okay, now I made this one originally in PowerPoint. If you want to make it in PowerPoint, that's fine. But most students prefer to use Google Slides because it's Google and they can do it anywhere, and that's fine. So basically you open up a new Google slide, you pick a theme. This should be a review for you because computer lit or an equivalent is a required prerequisite to this class. So everybody should have covered things like that, and you should probably have used it in other classes. So if you never use Google Slides, you either got to learn it quickly, it's easy, or you can use PowerPoint or Keynote if you want to. Keynote is an Apple version like this. But one way or the other, you're going to make like this. Now, typically when you open one up, I'll just say Google Slides from here on in. So that's what most people are going to do. When you make a new one, by default, the first slide is going to be a title slide. So you can put intro digital video in the middle, put your name, not mine. If you want to put the name of the class, up to you, and then, put the date or something like that. So that would be a good title slide. Now, and when you first set up a slideshow, you get to pick a theme. So you can go through the themes. I don't care which one you pick, whatever one you think looks nice. And the theme will put in some of your colors and layouts and things like that. Now, what I recommend you do is go through and do all the text first. In other words, don't worry about images at this point. Just go through and put in the text. So do your intro digital video and your name and either date or class or something like that. Then when you go to make a new slide, it'll default to this type of layout, where you have a title across the top and you got a bulleted list right here. So again, how do you do this when you're looking at this? Well, you can open this up in one window and have another window open with your Google Slides. If you got 2 devices, that's even better because you can open up one on one device and work on your Google Slides on another. Or if you got a great big monitor, that's even better. You got plenty of room to open up 2 different windows. So you have to come up with a way to do that. If the only thing you got is a school computer, just have 2 windows that kind of overlap a little bit and you just click in them as you need to get information. I don't think you can copy and paste it. Maybe you can. Well, I just dragged across there. Maybe you can. If you can, that's okay. But remember, you don't select the whole thing at once if this works. You have to do the top part separate because that goes in a different area. And I do want them numbered. So I want the number 1 in there, period, and then put like what is digital video. Now, and then these here, like I said, if you can figure a way to copy and paste it, and that's okay. If not, you can just type it up. It's not that hard to type. Now, depending on the layout and the theme that you pick, mine happens to have square bullets, but you don't have to have square bullets. I mean, you may have a theme that has round bullets or has hyphens. Any of that would be fine. A hyphen, a round bullet, a square bullet. And then you do this here. Now, at this moment, I'm not going to talk about the actual terms. I'll probably do that in class. And then we got, these are all fundamental terms that relate to digital video one way or another. So you can go through these here. Now, after you put on all the text, okay, on all these, another criteria I have is to go through and your key concept like this, just go through and put in random colors, blue, red, green, purple, orange, whatever. I like to mix it up, have some colors that makes it more interesting. This one I got in blue. Here I got digital video storage in red. White balance, I actually did in kind of a light gray. CCD I did in green. And you could, you come back eventually to some of the same colors, as you go through it. But just mix it up a little bit, so that we don't have the same colors back to back. Okay, so that's kind of a good thing. Then what I recommend after you put on all your text and made your slides and, if you want to then do your colors there, then go through and put in images. So for like a title slide, anything digital video will be fine. It could be a video camera, someone with a video equipment, a computer with a video editing thing on it if you want to put more than one image. And the best way to do this is probably just simply go to Google and use whatever searches you think will get you the images that you want. And then when you find one, click it, do a right click. I usually do save image as. I realize there's more than one way you could do this. I usually make a folder on my desktop and then call it whatever, like DV slides or something, and then just save them all in there. And often when you download from the web, images will have weird names. They'll have like allnumbers.jpg. So I would give it a meaningful name. So when you do the save, it'll save image as. It will bring up a dialog box and it'll ask you to name it and where do you want to save it. So I would make a folder like on your desktop, which you can do from that dialog box if you want to do it that way. I give it a meaningful name like video camera or whatever it is. It's going to help you remember that. And then they should be .jpg, JPEGs, or PNGs, PNG. If there's something weird like Web Archive, which occasionally comes up, just skip it and move on because those ones won't work in Google Slides or PowerPoint or whatever. So there's an image right there. So you might say, Mr. Rio, how many images do I do? If I have an image on a slide, you're going to have an image on a slide. There are some slides I have no image, okay? So you don't have to put images on those because they have a lot of text on them. But you should have that. Now, what is digital video? I don't have an image, so it's optional. You don't have to have one in there. Digital video storage, for whatever reason, I didn't put an image there. I probably should have. You can if you want to, but if I don't have an image, I'll let you off the hook on that. This one here on white balance, I did put in, I looked up and I found this little chart. And when I did the search for white balance and went to images, there were quite a number like this. They weren't, it wasn't just this one. There are other ones that do stuff like this, kind of explaining a little bit about white balance settings. So that's a good one to put up there, so that's easier to find something like that. CCD is about the sensor that's in digital cameras. So any image that relates to that would be great. Cables, I happened to find one with a bunch of video cables. I think I did a search for digital video cables or something like that, or connectors. Okay, this one, I didn't put any images there, or that one, or that one. Then here I get to digital video file formats. I found a nice image that has a number of digital video file formats here. No, none there, none there. Tilting. I just found a guy who looks like he's tilting his camera. For those that don't know, tilting is going up and down in your camera. So, so I found that image. And when you bring them into a folder like that on your desktop, yeah, you could go through the insert features to insert it. But for those that don't know, you can just drag it. That's what I do. I just drag it onto the slide. Oftentimes it'll come in big. You'll fill up most of the slide. I just go to the handles. I drag it smaller and then move it where I want it. So it can be quite simple and quick. Here I found one about panning, and this one actually talks about panning in the image, and it fit in there nicely. And I won't go over all of them. It's pretty obvious, chroma key is green screen type stuff and this and that, but just any of them that I got images. Now, rule of thirds, that's where you either imagine or you press a button and it'll put a little grid on your screen, and you think of your what you're looking at in thirds, horizontal and vertical thirds, and then you use the cross points for your subjects. And if there's a horizon, there's no horizon over here, but there is one right here. There's like water, it looks like, and then horizon with the sky. You try to put that on one of the third lines also, which could be the lower one or the upper one. So see if you can find some images like that. And it should be pretty straightforward after you can look through this. Now, originally I was going to have this due Friday, which quite frankly, you could have easily done. You should have been working on it by today. And, you can either sit and do it in one sitting, which will probably take you an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most. Or you can, do like some of the slides today and some tomorrow and some Friday. But because I knew it was kind of, even though it was technically our second week, it's still kind of our first week as far as doing these type of assignments. I knew some students probably wouldn't find out about it till Thursday, even though they should have by today, hopefully, or been reading Google Classroom since Monday. And so I decided I would, I closed that out without doing it. I moved the due date back into next week. So don't take that as I'm going to blow it off this week and just do it next week. Try to get as much done as you can, do quality work, meet the criteria if you want full credit, and I gave to, I think, next Thursday. So it'll be the first day you're back next week. So hopefully you will have gotten it all done long before that. But I thought just in case, we also have some new people being added this week. So that was part of my justification for a little longer deadline. The video project in class with iMovie right now has no deadline because I'm just wanting people take them through it in class for whatever time I need. It's going to be more than this week. We'll be working on it into next week. I'm going to guess we'll probably just need the 2 days next week. But I don't want to, sometimes I throw in other things, or we might decide to do some other stuff in class. So I always don't go get through stuff in the exact same order I planned it. But I probably talked a little longer than I planned to today, but I wanted to cover that stuff there. So you got hopefully a good understanding of the week, and you're getting used to this class and how we do things. So on Thursday and Friday, primarily, almost entirely, we'll just be doing that iMovie project, and we'll be editing, and I'll be doing a few lessons. And outside of class, do the question, which you should do today or yesterday. And if you haven't done it already, and then start working on your terms. And then we'll have a test eventually on those, probably not next week, but probably the week after. And I'll be talking about those in some upcoming either classroom or Zoom sessions. Okay, that's about it. If you got any questions, you can either unmute yourself if you're muted and just ask, or you can put them in the chat. If not, I thank you three for coming. Zach and Anna hiding there somewhere, and Joey. And I say Anna hiding there somewhere because I see like must be a picture. And then Joey and Zach, I just see your text. So I don't know if you guys are still around listening to this or not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you are. Good. Okay. Yep. So you guys take care, and thanks for coming. I'll probably be doing these every Wednesday. Probably my plan is do it Wednesday at noon for this class. And like I said, it's mainly for the people who are either absent Monday and Tuesday or haven't come to class yet this week because you don't come till Thursday. Okay.
All right.
So you guys take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay.
Bye.
Yep. Take care. See ya.